Pretty good. First of all, if you did not cooperate, you raise the level of suspicion that there is something inappropriate, improper going on. When you start moving around in the car, you're creating suspicion that can give a basis for them to ask you to step out and be patted down. When they pat you down, something doesn't quite feel right, you don't want to get patted down, you start fidgeting, pulling back, snatching your hand back. You've already gotten into that resisting, instructing mode because you don't put your hand back. So now you're working yourself up into felony levels. All right, so pretty good. Even if you are convicted of a reduced charge, you got that 72 hours in the first place before you even will be given a bond, and then you have to allow people an opportunity to make the bond for you. It's pretty good. It's better to just go along, get along.
Lieutenant Wood, if I record our conversation in a routine traffic stop, are you or your patrolman allowed to confiscate my recorder?
That's a great question. If it is evidence of a crime, yes. If you are just recording the stop and issued a ticket, no, that's your business, your property. We're not worried about anything that you might record. We're not concerned about any of that because we're not breaking the law. So feel free. Just cooperate. That's the big thing. Now, if you start resisting, being obstinate, raising things to a different level, it's possible that that could be seized from you as evidence of you being obstinate or raising things to a level of a felony or resistance. So it could be taken at that time.
Do you always believe what the officer says over the defendant in a simple traffic violation?
Not or any felony either, no. You have to look at the testimony. You also have to see whether or not there's any other evidence that's being introduced. Sometimes there may be a recorded statement. Sometimes there may be other witnesses. You have to listen to the testimony and the story to see whether or not it makes sense. So nobody gets an automatic, I believe, on either side. I have to hear it all. I have to hear it all before I make a decision.
This question is for Sheriff Saxton. If I'm stopped by one of your deputies in a city outside of their jurisdiction, are they allowed to give me a ticket?
That's a good question, Mr. Glidden. And first off, if you were stopped by one of my deputies anywhere, your dad would be called first. Next question. The answer to your question, though, is the sheriff's deputies within Calhoun County have jurisdiction from Battle Creek all the way over to Elvia, south to Homer to Athens. So we have jurisdiction to write a citation anywhere in Calhoun County. If, say, for the city officers, if they witness a violation of the traffic code in the city limits, if they don't catch up to you until outside the city, they can still stop you and write that citation that occurred within the city. Same as county lines. And it gets you over blurry on state lines.
This question is for Chief Blocker. Why do you send so many patrol cars to a simple dispute involving only 2 people?
So why do we send so many patrol cars to a simple dispute between 2 people? You know, one thing we found in this profession is there's really no such thing as a simple dispute. But until we get there, we're going to always send 2. For us, that's an officer safety concern. It's because we want to make sure that if extra help is needed, because most simple disputes, that's how they start. By the time they get to their end, the
One is for Prosecutor Gilbert. Don't we have the right to simply provide the officers with the paperwork that they want and not talk to them at all and not pass it?
That's correct. All you have to do is give them your name. That's all you have to do. If they ask for paperwork, give it. When I'm saying cooperate with them, I'm saying if they ask you for something, do it. If they're violating your constitutional rights by asking you to do something, that's something for the courts to decide, not for a citizen to decide.
This question is also for Chief Blocker. Why do we have so many people assigned to your gang squad when we don't really have any gangs in Battle Creek?
Well, first of all, there's not a lot of people assigned to it, and we have a total of 5 assigned to it. We use them for a variety of reasons, not just gang-related issues. They really help us deep dive into particular areas and within particular groups within the city. They've done a fantastic job over the last 5 or 6 years since they've been in existence of getting to know many of the folks in our community. And so when there is a dispute, they know both sides. And so let's say if there's a shooting or some sort of violent act, they immediately will spread out and they'll get to know and they'll speak to both sides. Because for years, if we had a shooting, we know really within about 36, 48 hours, 72 hours, we're going to have another shooting. Because when there's one shooting, there's typically going to be one that will follow. A lot of that has been cut down simply because of the fine work and relationships those officers in that unit has built. It isn't just specific to gang issues. That's still their title, but it's a title only. Not that they don't deal with gang issues, though.
I'd like to take this time now to share with you a couple of things that has been expressed that you need to take away with you. One, the best way to avoid problems is to keep a low profile. The judge mentioned that several times. Blend in. Don't try to show how great you are to your friends or even family. The best way to avoid contact is to keep a low profile. Guaranteed, one, if you ever receive either a misdemeanor or a felony, it will follow you for the balance of your life. Not just till tomorrow or the year after or the year following. It will follow you for the balance of your life. That is not something that you want. Two, we've looked at all of these incidences over the last year or so. And it looks pretty gruesome. I could not tell you whether or not it was the fault of the officers or the individuals that was involved. I can tell you that they should not have happened. Had perhaps they had been armed with the same information that you got today, they may have made different decisions. The goal and objective here, just like on those cards, is to give you the opportunity to make a good decision. You only get one shot at it. If you start off, as the judge mentioned, with a bad attitude, that's the beginning of a bad relationship between you and an officer. If you start off with an attitude that you have to show off and steal a vehicle or something of that nature, that's going to end up very bad. Not only for you, but also for your parents and your friends. And you never know how many people that will be impacted from something that you do as an individual. Most of you kids are at an age now where you say, well, that's my business. That's my problem. That's not entirely true. It's not just your business. It's not just your problem. The judge mentioned a number of times that somebody's going to have to go to court with you. That becomes their problem. The judge mentioned that somebody's going to have to pay a bond. That becomes their problem. We cannot isolate ourselves from the world by saying it's my decision and it's only going to impact me. Because that is completely absurd. It's going to impact others. And unfortunately, we have a short-term mentality. We tend to think that it's only going to impact us for today or next week. It does not. This is a lifelong impact. Please, take with you what you've learned. Use it, grow up, and learn to develop a method of your own to make sure that you're playing defense, to make sure that you're making a better decision. I will now turn you back over to your Vice President.